This is the Palisados Foundation. Palisados was created by a group of expat Jamaican IT professionals to provide equitable access to life opportunities for STEM students. Most specifically, we do this by promoting software engineering education internships for university students on the island. Each student works on one of our open source projects under the mentorship of an IT professional. Stipends are paid upon achieving predefined goals. This program is called the Calico Challenge. The IT sector is a dynamic, growing, and critical international industry that can provide significant financial growth and opportunity for our community. Our internship programs allow local IT professionals to globally compete. We started in 2016. Almost 40 students have completed the program. We have had a variety of current and past Jamaican sponsors, including the NCB Foundation, the JPS Foundation, the Grace Kennedy Foundation, the JMMB Group, Rail Decoy, Sutherland, Backyard Restaurant, Simtai Consulting, Vertis Technologies, the Jamaica Computer Society, and more. In this video, we'll be featuring the work done by students on the Talawa project. This application is meant to be a simple project and event management tool. It is suitable not only for community organizations such as churches and clubs, but also small businesses. Events can be created in the calendar with persons being assigned responsibilities and deadlines. There are news feed and chat features for additional community engagement. Say, for example, a religious institution is planning a wedding. The event can be created, the faithful alerted, persons responsible for all aspects of planning assigned, and registrations accepted. Talawa helps improve the management and engagement of the community. Let's take a look at what the students did in 2020.
Okay, so my name is Dimitri Johnson. I'm a student at UA. I've been working on the Talawa section of the app, as Peter said, and I was working on the front end. So I was working mostly on what you'll see when actually using the app. So let's move on. So we have on the agenda for today. So first we'll have first we'll look at the project in its entirety. Then we'll look at a few issues we encountered. Then we'll see the lessons we learned, and of course after that we'll do a demo. Okay, so what are we working on? We're working on Talawa. What is Talawa? Talawa is an organization management mobile app. So if you have an organization, it's perfect for managing all the things you might have to do during your daily routine, essentially. It uses, you can use it to organize the projects and send out memos to your team and your company. So that's what we want to do with it. So one issue we had was in the start was that it was partially done, but we had to redo some of the code, a lot of the code really. But yeah, so let's move on. So what was necessary for Talawa? We had to build the API first of all, because yeah, even though it was built in REST already, we had to basically rebuild it all over again in GraphQL, and we had to make a lot of changes. So we had to rebuild the API before we could get to anything. Okay, and we had to add in proper security features. So we had to do the login that Andrew was working on and Larry was working on as well. But before we could actually build the app, and we had to design a suitable user interface. So when you're actually using the app, it actually makes sense and is coherent. Yeah. So and after that, we just added the relevant features that we're talking about. Yeah, okay. So the tools we use were Flutter and GraphQL. Let's talk about Flutter. Flutter is an open source UI software development kit created by Google. So it's important that we mention that it's created by Google. That means it's stable. We can actually rely on it to keep on working for a good while, supposedly. It's cross-platform, so we can mention that it can work on both iOS and can work on Android. So that's important. It's easy to use Flutter to build a good-looking UI. So that's one of my favorite features about Flutter. And GraphQL. GraphQL is an open source data query manipulation language for APIs. Essentially, that just means it's another version of REST. So you can just use it to make API calls. And we use it because it could make a call to a single API essentially, and you could choose which pieces of data you wanted to return. So you weren't wasting a lot of a lot of bandwidth collecting stuff that they don't want. So that's a major benefit of GraphQL. And it's easily scalable, even though it's not really best for small apps, but if you want to make an app that's large and have a lot of stuff, GraphQL is what you want to use for that. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about some of the milestones. So first of all, I wanted to work on the news feed. So what the news feed will allow you to do is view all the latest updates and posts from your organization. You can add your own posts, and you can like your posts that other people create, and you can comment on those posts. So if you want, it's basically a broadcasting method. So people in the organization can broadcast to them anything that's happening, instead of simply like just post in a chat or something. So it's different from the chat. It's mostly about broadcasting. Now the event screen is also another very important screen. So it has a calendar. You can use it to keep track of the any events that's happening inside the organization. You can filter the events by day, and you can get more details on those events. So you just go into the event screen to keep track of anything that's happening inside the app as a user. You can create your own events, yes, of course, and you can view upcoming and past events on this event screen. Yeah. And also, another important thing that you might want to do in a app like this is you want to view everybody inside the organization. So you can view every single person that's there, and you can see what they're doing. You can see stuff that you assign them to do and see whether or not they got it done in time, and do all of that ahead of time. So that's what's another important feature. Okay, so one feature we didn't get to implement, even though you've seen it right here, down here at the bottom. The chat, we didn't get to implement the chat as yet, but yes, the chat is also very important. So a very important feature for this, for app like this, so you can actually directly talk to other persons in the company, and also create a group, and so persons can ask about events and such things. But yes, and also we should be able to archive chats for later reference, so we can actually see back stuff that we spoke about in the past. Okay, so let's talk about some of the issues that I had in my experience. So for the first month, I was really set back because of COVID. So essentially, I got put. Some of my exams got pushed forward, and they ended up overlapping with the whole Calico challenge thing. So yeah, I was juggling that alongside doing exams. So the first month wasn't the most unproductive month for me, sadly. But I had to move on from that and get things going in the second month. Okay, so another issue was that we could never actually meet up in person. Actually, well, I did at one point, but yeah, for the most part, we didn't get to meet up in person. And it's easier to code when people are meeting up when you can see them directly in front of you. So at no point we didn't really get the chance to meet everyone and have a single meetup, and yeah, that was always out of it. Okay, yes, and also for me, we had to, for my part, which was the user interface, I had to set up the backend first of all before I could actually do a lot of stuff that I wanted to do. So a lot of what I had to do was reliant on the backend to be set up first. For example, the login, you have to actually create a user and login, and yeah, let's not get too technical and too far into that as yet. Okay, and also I couldn't reuse much of the code that was already there, since we had to change out the backend, so it ended up leading to a lot of changes on the front end as well. So I couldn't reuse a lot of the code was actually already there, but we still reuse much of it, and yeah, you can see the relation between the old app and the new app that we end up building. So let's go now through some of the lessons that we learned. Oh yes, communication is very important. You have to make sure that when you're working in a team, you communicate well, because like things can really fall apart if we're not communicating, people not answering messages and stuff like that. But yeah, communication is extremely important. Okay, another thing that I realized was that you have to listen to your mentor. We can actually find ourselves going down the wrong path a lot of times if we don't actually check with our mentors to make sure that we're doing stuff right, because they have a lot to teach us, and we should really utilize them. Oh yes, and also planning ahead for the design of the app is very important. Even though we're doing like in a Scrum manner, some amount of planning was still, I think, was still necessary, so that we would have a good idea of what we were working on from the start. So what we had in the end. Okay, so I have also some recommendations for future projects. So one of them is to spend 2 or so weeks working out the design. So that would be good. Like I wish we had done that. We had spent more time looking into the actual design of the app. But it's fine still. We managed to get through. But I would recommend for the next team working on it to look some more into the design before they just jump in and start building it up. So also, if you have certain parts of the app taking up too much time, sometimes we can literally just dedicate more persons to that part of the app to have some team coding stuff like that. That worked out well for me. Okay, yeah, so I guess now we can look into the demo. Everybody still hearing?
Okay, so upon entering the Talawa.
Okay, everybody's still hearing.
After logging in, this is what you would see. The first page you'll see is the news feed. So let's imagine we have a user, let's call him Jim. What you do right here is you'll be able to create a post and basically broadcast information to everybody in his organization, let everybody know updates and such and such. So all you would have to do is come here, write up a post title, with a title, and give them the actual post, and just create, and you would have the post right there up at the top. Also, what we're able to do is we're able to go into each post, get a little bit more information. The post, we're able to make comments on the post. Just have to type up a comment right here, and yeah, have a comment. So everybody can actually comment on these posts. So if anybody says something useful, they can actually make replies right there. So next, oh yes, also we can like each post. We can keep track of all of that. Whoever likes a post, and we're keeping track of the time when that post was made. Yeah. So next, now we can move on to the events. Events is a very interesting screen. So we use the events whenever we want to keep track of what's happening in the organization. So we can create events, for example, and that event would be on a given date. Like we could have repeated events, so we could have an event that's repeated weekly, monthly, or event that's repeated every day. And this screen allows us to basically filter the events and view all the events. So no events are happening today, so that's why that's still loading. You can also go on each event. So basically, if an event is showing up every week, such as right here, that means every Saturday we'd have such an event. So you can say we're registered for this event right here, and also say so we can register for the event. We can add tasks to the event. So each task you could just apply to someone. Say this person would be doing this at this time. They have to get it done by this time. Yeah, we can edit the event in case we want to change something, and also we can just delete the event. Yeah, so also we can also go into the event to get all the information. You can see all the tasks that were assigned earlier, and you can see everybody who's registered. So I actually registered for that twice. Sorry. And also another thing Jim might want to do in his organization is actually view everybody who's in there at any given time. So you can actually see all the names inside the group, inside the organization, and they're sorted by alphabetical order. So all the persons with A up here, just go ahead and click there, and you can see the tasks. They're sorted by each user and all the registered events. But we don't have any data yet, so it's a bit blank. So that's where we would go over there. And of course, over here we have a profile page. That's where DeAndrew was talking about. That's what he was dealing with. So yeah. So thanks, guys. So remember, members, events, and of course the newsfeed. So those are the most important parts.
So thanks for watching, everybody. Are there any questions?
Yes, we have a question from Michael Dan. He's asking, did you go through a design process by using Flutter? Does it influence the design and the UX more than you having design and UX knowledge and experience?
No. I wish I had done more into the UI, but I didn't actually get to go out to a whole design process flow. That's what I was saying. I wanted to spend more time on the UI, but I had to basically just jump into the coding.
Question that we have from Sheldon Provost. He's here based in California. He's asking, are the apps available for the App Store or as a APKs to side load?
Well, I guess for now it would just be an APK to side load, but I guess we're planning. I'm not sure about that now. I guess we're planning to eventually make it more available, but as for now, it's still in development, so it would have to go on the website and side load it, of course.
Yeah, so at the moment we have an MVP, and we're going to try and see how we can solicit persons to continue contributing to it. so that we have a product that will be usable more universally. I think we're almost there. All right, so we have another question. Who on the team was responsible for testing? What types of tests were done?
Unit testing was done. Unit testing was done. Not up to like 50% test coverage, but mostly on validation and verification of forms. And the backend team, I know for sure, did the testing on their side. So perhaps Laurel or Randy could speak to that.
So this is Laurel. Good night, everyone, from the backend team. So for the API, I'd say almost all of the mutations and the queries for GraphQL. So that's like the requests that the front end sends to the API are tested. The only requests that don't run through unit tests before they get uploaded to Git repo are requests regarding image upload, because me and the other developer aren't sure how to go about testing image upload. So yeah.
Okay, so we have another question from Sheldon. Where is the history stored? If the app is deleted, how much info is local versus in the cloud? And also, what privacy and security specifications do you conform to?
When a user signs registers or log in, JSON Web Tokens is used using refresh token and access tokens. Refresh tokens are updated every 2 minutes. I think it was. I'm not quite sure, but what refresh tokens are used, and then refresh tokens are used to get what new access tokens when they have expired. How much info is local versus the cloud? A small detail is local, such as the organization name, specific things related to the organization, such as name, a user name, ID. Those are stored in shared preferences.
Also, there's another feature that we have. The app allows you to have a backend that is selectable. So you can select, if you want to host the open source software in the Amazon cloud, you can have the app on the phone point to the Amazon cloud instance, or you can, in settings, change it to your local server as well. So we try to make it as open as possible. We have a question from Glenford. How flexible are things now? If someone else comes along and decides that GraphQL isn't the best tool for the job, would it take as long for them or for you guys to switch to something else?
GraphQL is just an implementation on top of the functionality that we've created. So I'd say around 80% of the code is reusable. We just have to refactor it to match REST API endpoints instead of GraphQL mutations and queries.
Thank you for listening. If you are interested in participating, donating, or sponsoring our activities, then please visit our website at palisados.org. This is the Palisados Foundation.